So I just feel like this is just a very good sleeper movie that seems like pretty well loved, but it just came totally out of left field right at the beginning of the pandemic, essentially.
I used to be loved. I used to be a kid detective.
What's up, YouTube? Jab by Movies here, and you are watching
Fresh Releases.
My name is James.
My name's Blaze.
And today we are checking out the film that came out from 2020, The Kid Detective.
Here comes the Kid Detective.
Someone's following us.
This isn't safe. They're trying to see how my head works. Somebody's testing me.
So this film tells the story about a once celebrated kid detective, now 32, who continues to solve the same trivial mysteries between hangovers and bouts of self-pity until a naive client brings him his first adult case to find out who brutally murdered her boyfriend. So this film is kind of a low-key 2020 movie. I only recently just heard about this movie. I think I saw it scrolling through just on-demand videos or on-demand movies that are available on Amazon Prime. And kind of, you think you were the one like, oh, let's check this movie out. And I'm like, Adam Brody, I've never even seen the OC, I think, to be honest. So I was like, Adam Brody. But after watching this movie, I have to say, even I might be in love with him.
Yeah. I don't really know a whole lot about Adam Brody. I always kind of associate him as the OC guy, even though I've never even seen the OC. I've just seen him really in a small role in Jennifer's Body and a very small role in Promising Young Woman in 2020, actually. It's understandable why we didn't hear about this movie in 2020. We were like trying to seek movies to review here on Fresh Releases for our channel, but it was rough. There was nothing coming out. We were just checking out what was on Netflix, what was on Hulu, like what we could rent on demand. There was this movie, but just slipped through the radar, and it's a bummer we didn't check it out till now because I really enjoyed this movie. It's so much fun. Adam Brody, like the whole time I watch it, I'm like, why does he not get more roles? Why is it his brother? I mean, I know his brother is like an Oscar winner, but then I found out they're not even related, though. I'm talking about Adrian Brody, of course, but yeah, they're not related.
They don't look at all like.
I was just like, oh, Brody, they're obviously related. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I was really surprised by this movie. I think it just really captures the whole kid detective vibe. Like, I think if you were to just see the poster and like that title, you'd be like, what is that? But then you kind of like just piece it together that he's this, essentially as a child, he's this young savant that, solves all. Why is Billy in the well? And why is Susie's mom? I don't know, just like little kid detective style stories, kind of along the lines of like Archie comics or the Hardy Boys, Babysitter's Club, stuff like that. That we don't get too much. I mean, even I think this still like has some throwbacks to even like Scooby-Doo, like mysteries, essentially, in a way, like kind of, until it gets to a little bit more serious tones in this movie, because he is an adult who never really aspired to, as a young detective, you think, okay, what's the next step? He's a kid detective. He's probably going to be like the greatest detective ever, or like the next Batman or something. But no, he's just a 32-year-old loser that really is always remembering, those great times in the past where the mayor gave him the key to the city. And then nothing really
free rent
came
office,
of it.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Rent control, they're free.
But yeah, that was that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. What you mentioned, tone. That's what this movie gets right, and I think is what makes this movie work so much. It knows properly when to go from a dark comedic element where he's beating the crap out of high school kids on drugs, versus a very serious moment where it's like him talking with his parents about how he's just like never been able to climb out of his shell, and he's stuck living as his kid in a 32-year-old body still. And then when it finally gets to the climax too, like it gets pretty dark, and handles it pretty well. They easily could have went still in a joking route and stuff, but I don't want to get too much into spoilers, but like the final shot of like, this is going to be a spoiler, but just like him crying and stuff, that I felt like that was very realistic of what he went through, going through PTSD. Like, you think like, oh, cool. Like he's got his life back and stuff. He's now considered a great detective. People are in line to see him, and he's excited on that. But man, he's messed up for life and stuff. And it's hilarious, but also messed up and depressing too. And just like, I really like the tone of this movie, just capturing like, it's highly unrealistic. It's realistic in parts. It's funny. It's super dark, but just like then throws in just like, a serious moment like that.
So the writer and director, Evan Morgan, I was looking through his IMDb because I was just like, what did this director do to kind of land this picture? Because it does seem like, I mean, it's an original film. Like that's always like a sign for me to be like, check out like, well, how did they get this? Because nowadays, like who can make an original film? We have great indie directors that are getting snatched and scooped up by Marvel left and right, that it's like almost like no men surviving to direct, these kind of indie movies. And this did premiere at the Toronto Film Festival. So, it got a pretty big premiere and screening, and you kind of wonder, all right, who's this guy, like what's his pedigree? So I did look up that he wrote the film The Dirties. Did you ever check out that film?
Yeah, I don't think we watched it together, but I know for sure we watched it around that same time. Kevin Smith, back when you and I were big Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con people, Kevin Smith was talking about a movie that he was producing and saying like, please check this out. Like, I don't care about my movies. Like, go support these kids. These kids are unreal. And I'm glad that he gave them that voice, because it introduced us to a really funny web series. I forget what it's called, but I didn't finish it, but I was a huge fan of it. But also The Dirties was a great, that's a great debut movie and stuff. And I know that Evan Morgan didn't continue with them really after The Dirties, which is a bummer, because I like what I forgot the main actor from that movie, as well as the writer director of The Dirties, but he's gone on to do like comedic stuff and is doing well for himself. So kudos. But I'm glad to see that this director Evan Morgan was able to come up with something so original and so different. Also, like, damn, what school do they go to? Because these kids are killing it. Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like Evan Morgan was like, this film, I feel like is based on just that short synopsis of essentially, a kid detective sees some real shit. Like, I feel like that's legit. Basically, it was like that final scene almost like feels like, and not to dive too much in spoilers, but just like basically, I feel like the whole film as a pitch almost resolved on what the end of the film was going to be, and it's set up perfectly. It's very well executed, very entertaining, but I do feel like just that inkling of an idea of where this came from was very similar to how The Dirties kind of plays out. It's a very similar film in that sense, and very captivating. So I was really impressed. I really hope that this director gets more shots, because I think that this film really, it doesn't have a ton of stuff on it on paper going for it, but like, dude, I'm an Adam Brody fan now. I'm an Evan Morgan fan now. So I just feel like this is just a very good sleeper movie that seems like pretty well loved, but it just came totally out of left field right at the the beginning of the pandemic, essentially.
Yeah, I don't know how to really check it out too, which is unfortunate. It's only streaming through Stars, and you can't rent it. That was so annoying about this movie, because it's been on my list for a while. Two weird alcoholic drunk guys from Milwaukee did a video on YouTube about this movie, and so that got my interest in checking it out. So yeah, there was that video, and I always kept it on my watch list on Letterboxd, and so when I kept it on my letterbox, like I would just constantly check, like, when is it going to stream somewhere? When is it going to stream somewhere? And it's just not the case. And it was a movie that I would have been down to probably rent back earlier when it was closer to coming out. But just when it's not available to rent, like, that's unfortunate. I didn't want to buy it, but luckily I had a coupon code to buy this movie on Vudu. So now I own it, but I'm glad to own it and stuff. It's a fantastic movie, and I wish more people would check it out. Like, I don't know how to get people to check it out unless you have Stars, but I'd say it's worth buying if you ever see it in a $5 Blu-ray bin. Highly worth it. But also, it's currently like $12 on most apps to buy. Like, highly recommend checking it out as well too. Just buy it. It's a good risk.
Definitely. And this is just one of those like sleeper movies that I feel like even if it was on, Netflix or HBO Max or whatever, you might not even check it out because you're just like, the cover is like not that enticing. What is this? But it just has this perfect tone that if you ever enjoyed any type of kids mystery or any of those like serial novels as a kid where there was like, 150 novels, I'm not talking Goosebumps, but all the mystery versions, like you absolutely love just the hilariousness of this movie, but at times it can be very serious, and it just rides that perfect line of tone without being too and falling into the pitfalls of the quirky indie comedy, because I never for once felt like this was that quirky indie comedy. It always is like still has a very great tone of being dramatic while having little asides that kind of crack you up.
I would almost love to see like a double feature of Brick and then this, like just seeing like how they like, because I mean they're very different films, but just like it's cool seeing like kind of like high school related mysteries and stuff, even though Adam Brody's in his 30s in this movie, but he's doing a detective, or he's detectiving around a high school plot dilemma and everything. So just like I feel like they'd pair well if you ever wanted a sequel to Brick. It's funny to think maybe Joseph Gordon-Levitt grew up into this guy or something.
Did you ever watch the film Mystery Team by Derek Comedy?
No, so I've heard about it. I've heard good things, and what's it called? Like I remember Derek Comedy when we were in high school. That was like a big thing, and a lot of people don't realize that's where Donald Glover got his start with YouTube comedy and everything.
Danny Glover's son, right? Call back to Adam Brody and
but what about
Adrian Brody. I was gonna say that the film Mystery Team, I feel like this film, if Brick and Mystery Team were combined, it would make this film, because it's like Mystery Team is very much slapstick version of Scooby-Doo but live action, and Mystery Team is like a really underrated movie. It's like a very cult movie that I feel like doesn't get its play too much, and it's cool to see Donald Glover before Childish Gambino, of course. But Mystery Team, like I do remember really enjoying it when I first saw it. It's pretty funny at times, and it's definitely like better than a lot of the comedies that they make now, considering no one makes comedies really anymore. So yeah, I feel like it's definitely more, outlandish than a film like this. I feel like it's very grounded in reality. But I feel like either maybe even the triple feature of Brick, Mystery Team, and Kid Detective would be a great triple feature, or any combination of those three films as a double feature would be great. Yeah.
Well, now I got to add that to my watch list, and it's time to figure out what order do you watch them in and stuff. But this is can't say enough. Like, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I'm glad that it was a fun watch, because we've accidentally picked some boring movies, disappointing movies, but this is a nice movie to check out amongst like some, pretty poor movies that we're checking out like past 2 months or so. But we've had some good movies so far this year, and despite this movie being old, like this is one of my favorites that I've been able to check out this year. So form your own opinions about the movie. Be sure to check it out. Check it out through Stars if you have a subscription service through them. You can also check it out through our Amazon affiliate link in our description box below to buy it as well.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and click the notification bell to get all our latest updates.
Yeah. If you can't get enough of us here on YouTube, you can leave a comment to get a hold of us. We want to talk to you in there. But also talk to us on social media through Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. All our links are down below. Anyways, guys, that'll conclude this week's episode. Tune in next week for a brand new video.